May 19th. We're back to the forgiveness theme. Interesting. I'm going to invite you to tap while you listen to this. So you can just tap on your, I've got my, can you see here? I'm just tapping on my knee. I'm on a chair that's not comfortable. Louise says, my forgiving attitude attracts fresh inspiration and new beginnings. We can never be free of bitterness as long as we continue to think unforgiving thoughts. Now, I'm just going to say something here for a second. Louise writes this in the forward, in the third person. So she says, you can never be free of forgiveness as long as you continue to think unforgiving thoughts. But I'm in this boat too. And so if you hear me stumble a little bit, I'm transposing as I go because I want to include myself in this. Because if I'm simply saying you'll never forgive people you'll never be free unless you forgive, I'm setting myself up into a place of a hierarchy where I'm preaching at you, but I'm in the choir too. I got this chair that's bugging me. So we. I'm in this boat. Forgiveness is an ongoing process. So my forgiving attitude attracts fresh inspiration and new beginnings. We can never be free of we can never be free of bitterness as long as we continue to think unforgiving thoughts. How can we be happy in this moment if we continue to choose to be angry and resentful? I'm going to address this, okay? Thoughts of bitterness can't create joy. No matter how justified I feel I am, no matter what they did, if I insist on holding on to the past, then I will never be free. Forgiving myself and others will release me from the prison of the past. And you might be like me shouting, yeah, but how? We're tapping. That's part of the process. When we feel that we're stuck in some situation, or when our affirmations aren't working, it usually means that there's more forgiveness work to be done. I'm going to address the word work in a second too. When we don't flow freely with life in the present moment, it usually means that we're holding on to a past moment. So we're in memory. It can be regret. That's right. It can be regret, sadness, hurt, fear, guilt, blame, anger, resentment, or sometimes even a desire for revenge. Each one of these states comes from a space of unforgiveness, a refusal to let go and come into the present moment. Only in the present moment can we create our future. So I'm going to bring in a little concept here of Ho'oponopono, and I've talked about that one before. But as we think about what I just read, I'm going to pop back into it for a second here. When we feel that we're stuck in some situation and our affirmations aren't working, it usually means that there's more forgiveness work to be done. Work to be done. Crap. I got to work on myself more so I can be a better person. So I just want to reframe that a little bit. It usually means that there's more forgiveness awareness. So as we become aware, and here we're going to bring in the Ho'oponopono, as we become aware that we're stuck, who do we forgive? Well, we can think about the concept of forgiving ourselves. And in Ho'oponopono, we look ourselves in the eye, either in the mirror or emotionally, figuratively. We look ourselves in the eye and we say, I love you. I'm sorry that I allowed that to happen, or I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that I'm holding this forgiveness. I'm sorry for whatever it is. And sometimes we might not even know and have a vocabulary for it, so just go with the mantra. We look ourselves in the eye, say, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for holding on to all this energy. Thank you for listening. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. And as we direct that to ourselves, Because the forgiveness, the unforgiving portion of ourselves, we're unforgiving because we're afraid. That's it. We're just afraid. We're afraid that if we forgive, we'll become vulnerable and we'll get hurt again. That's a very legit fear. I can own that. And as we use the intellect now to understand, oh, that's why I don't want to forgive this. And we bring that into our mind and our body and our spirit and our soul, they all interact. We don't want to get rid of anyone. We don't want to live only in our spirit. We don't want to live only in our mind. We want to live in them all and have them all have a conversation, an ongoing conversation. And sometimes the mind gets to trump, and sometimes the body gets to trump. But if we and when we can listen to them all and hear and feel the things that we're feeling. As I've been presenting all these, I've been feeling this pain in my shin. And as I just said that pain just kind of disappeared. Because I've been trying to rub it away, and then I'm going, okay, well, hear what the pain has. I shifted my chair, I adjusted things. So as we practice forgiveness for ourselves, and we acknowledge our fear and we acknowledge our pain, I love you. I'm sorry that you're in such pain. I'm sorry for whatever it is in me that's resonating in this pain. I'm sorry for that. Please forgive me for that, for my fear. Please forgive me for not trusting the unconditional love of the universe. Thank you for bringing this knowledge to me so that I can bring it into my body and I can consider it. Thank you. And as we take that process, that Ho'oponopono process with ourselves, we can then have more space and more freedom and more availability to us to allow that release, because forgiveness is a release. We're releasing ourselves from prison. Like she says, it really has nothing to do with the other person. We're releasing ourselves from the prison of fear. And underneath fear is vulnerability. And when we take our vulnerability, that little child, we come into this world completely vulnerable, completely vulnerable. We need each other. And when we take that little vulnerable child in our hands and invite the unconditional love of the universe to wash over that and to receive it, to receive ourself, we can release into forgiveness because we are safe in that love. We haven't felt safe, and that's why we don't forgive. When we can feel safe in the unconditional love of the universe and know, like all of those things those little pieces that I shared, receive them. Unconditional love. Receive it, bring it into our hearts. Feel it and receive it. I love you, and the universe loves you as well, more than I ever could. Receive.